Welcome to the Day One and Beyond hands-on series. Today's demo will be the Data Studio self-service tools for everyone using Oracle Autonomous Database Workshop. This workshop is designed to help new users become familiar with the features of Data Studio with Oracle Autonomous Database. Let's begin. Once you've made your way to the Live Lab page, navigate to the green Start button, and from here we can go ahead and click Run on Live Lab Sandbox. Now we are allowed to reserve our workshop. Your email should be automatically populated. From there, you can specify your attendee time zone, whether or not you'd like to start the workshop now. And from there, all you need to do is consent to receive emails for Live Labs for information about the reservation, and then you can go ahead and click Submit Reservation. As you can see, this should take you to your My Reservations page, in which you will see that your workshop is now pending creation. Let's meet back once this workshop is ready. Now that our reservation is ready, let's launch our workshop. This is going to take us to our Live Lab information page. Here we have all of the instructions for our Live Lab. In addition to our instructions, we also have our login info. We can view this in the upper left-hand corner. When looking at our reservation information in our login info, we see the ability to launch OCI. Let's go ahead and do that. From there, we can take note of our username, 8008, and our password. Let's copy it. Let's launch OCI once more. 8008, and let's give it the password. We are now prompted to change our password. However, I'll keep it the same. And this should take us to the OCI homepage. And with that, we can go ahead and begin Lab 1, Provisioning an Autonomous Database. To do so, let's navigate again to the upper left-hand corner, Navigation menu. We'll come down to Oracle Database, and then to Autonomous Database. From there, we'll specify our compartment. Again, it's going to be the user 8008. So we'll go to Live Labs, and all the way down to 8008. Now we can create our autonomous database. We'll give it a display name. For this lab, let's call it ADW Finance Mart. And for the database name, it'll be the same. However, we don't need the underscores. Compartment 8008, that is correct. Our workload type will be data warehouse. We'll leave the database version as 19C with an eCPU count of 2, a storage count of 1. Compute autoscaling will be left on, and storage autoscaling will be left off. We can take note of our automatic backup retention period, which is 60 days. That's fine. We'll leave immutable backup retention unchecked. And from here, we'll need to go ahead and create an administrator password. We can use the same password if we'd like. No, it must be between 12 and 30 characters, so I'll create a new password. Awesome. From there, we have our network access. We'll leave it on secure access from everywhere, and we will require mutual TLS. We won't put in any contact information now, and from there, we're all good to go ahead and create our autonomous database. Let's click Create at the bottom left-hand corner. So, as the tour tells us, we can check our database lifecycle state. Here, we can see that our database is currently provisioning, and this is also denoted by the orange color. We have the ability with database actions to create users, load data, run SQL queries, and much more. More actions allows us to perform database administrative tasks, like database lifecycle management tasks, updating our database password, managing public or private networking, cloning our database, and more. And finally, we also have metrics, and we can track our progress of database lifecycle operations and work requests. We can look at our backups, key history, disaster recovery, clones, and if this tour wasn't enough, we can take it once more. For now, let's wait for our database to provision. As we can see, our lifecycle state has changed from provisioning to available. Our box is now green and our database is available. And with that, that does complete Lab 1 of provisioning an autonomous database. Hope to see you for Lab 2, creating a user. Let's begin. Awesome. To create a database user, let's navigate to Database Actions and then Database Users. Now, it may take a little bit of time the first time pulling up Oracle Database Actions. Awesome. Once you're here, navigate to Create User. And we first give it a username. I'll name this user QTeam. I'll give it a password that I can remember. I'll give it unlimited quota space or quota on the table space data. I'll name it OML, REST, GraphQL, and Graph. And then for granted roles, I'll give admin privileges for DW role and then data transform. From there, I'll go ahead and create the user. And now I'll log in as the user by opening this in a new tab. So as you can see, we have a new login. I'll enter the username QTeam, my new password. And awesome. We are now logged in as QTeam, our new user. And that does complete Lab 2, creating a user. We will now be moving on to Lab 3, which is loading in demo data. Now to load in data, we'll need to go to SQL. To do so, we can go under Development here in Database Actions and click SQL. This will take us through a tour, however, we don't need it. For now, leverage the lab instructions, and you'll see under Lab 3, loading in demo data, Task 2, that there are a couple of scripts that we need to copy and paste within SQL. The first of which is just a check to make sure that we don't currently have any of the tables that we're going to be creating already in our database. So we'll go ahead and run. Awesome. Ideally, you want errors saying that the table or view doesn't exist, meaning that we can go ahead and create them now. So copy and paste that second script in the worksheet. And under the script output, we can validate everything that happened. And as we can see, all of our tables were created. And we are now good to move on to Lab 4, which is understanding the data analysis requirements. Once you have finished reading Lab 4, we can then move on to Lab 5, which is browsing database objects. So to begin browsing our database objects, the first thing that we're going to want to do is navigate back to the upper left-hand corner of Database Actions and come to the navigation menu here. From there, we can navigate to Data Studio and then Data Studio Overview. Now from here, we can go all the way down to our catalog on the left-hand side. And as we can see, we have a plethora of items to talk about here. The first of which is going to be our entities. So as we can see, we have 6 entities showing. These are going to be the tables that we loaded in not too long ago in our SQL worksheet. Customer CA, customer sales analysis, genre, movie sales CA, and time. On the left-hand side, we have the ability to filter this even more so if we like to. So I can filter out tables, views, and even analytic views if I'd like. At the top, I have a search bar to help me search for my entities. Here, I can change my catalogs if need be, my catalogs and my schemas. Currently, I'm only showing QTeam, though if I'd like to manage my catalogs even more, I can do so by clicking Manage Catalogs. Currently, there are no items to display. However, I could add some if need be. We also have our favorites and our saved searches. So any searches that I've already executed before, I have the ability to view and requery with ease. And last I'll show is going to be our settings, our catalog settings. So we have our general settings, showing system tables and private tables, page size, query scopes, again, our saved searches, and our customized theme. And that will be it for Lab 5, browsing database objects. We will now be moving on to Lab 6, loading in additional data. So for Lab 6, loading additional data, our first task is going to be creating a local data file for the age groups. And if you reference your lab instructions, you'll see the age group table that they are talking about. We're going to put that table in an Excel sheet. So once finished, you should have an Excel sheet that looks something like this, where I have my min age, my max age, and my age group, and the values that belong there. So once we've done this, we can now load in our data. To do that, we're actually going to go to data load, and we're just going to click load data. And we can load data from a local file. To do that, we'll click this add button here. Let's see, if we go to my recents, I'm just going to search age group. We'll open that. From there, we can go ahead and start. So we can start load from a local file and run. So we can see the status here, preparing, complete, and then recently updated. So our table age group has now been created. However, it is called sheet 1, and I would like it to be called age group. So to rename it, we can go to the table. Let's go ahead and edit. And instead of sheet 1, I would like to call this age underscore group. I'll click apply. We see that our table name has been altered, so I can close. Now, if we come back to our catalog, and we search age group, we should see it populate under here. And with that, that does complete lab 6 of loading in our additional data. From there, we can move on to lab 7 of transforming and preparing data. So to begin lab 7, transforming and preparing data, the first thing that we're going to need to do is launch data transforms. To do that, we're once again going to navigate to the upper left-hand corner, navigation menu for database actions. We'll go down to Data Studio and then Data Transforms. Now, do note that the first time we use this and launch it, it may take a while for all the resources to provision, so bear with me. And with that being said, I'll come back once this provisioning status and setup has been completed. So once the provisioning is complete, you should get a view like this. This is going to be the Data Transforms homepage. And once here, we can go ahead and navigate to connections. And you'll notice that there should already be a connection here in ADW Finance Smart. This is going to be the database that we created earlier. All we need to do now is validate this connection. And to do so, we'll give this connection a username and password. And guess what? It'll be QTeam. We'll enter QTeam for the username and enter the password. From there, we'll go ahead and test our connection just to validate it. And if you get this successful message, you can click OK and we'll go ahead and update. We don't need to save for now. And awesome. So we should be all good. And from there, we can go back home and now we can go transform some data. So we'll create a data flow. We'll give it the name load customer sales analysis. And for description, we'll load customer sales table with quintiles and other attributes. From there, we'll go ahead and select next. Oh, apologies. We'll create a project. And that project name will be sales data. So we'll create. From there, we can press next. So we'll select the connection. It's going to be ADW Finance Smart. And with that, our schema will be QTeam. Or apologies. Yes, QTeam. We'll save. And awesome. So now we have the data flow editing screen. On the left side, you should see a message saying importing data entities next to the QTeam user. It should take about 4 to 5 minutes to import all of the data entity definitions, and then the message should disappear. And once those data entities have been imported, they should populate here on this left-hand side. So I'll go ahead and give it a second for that to happen. And awesome. So after giving it a few minutes, QTeam did populate here, all my data entities. If it doesn't populate for you, another thing you can do is go up to add a schema. And though we already did the step, you can do it once more time just to push the wheel a little bit further. And then you'll go ahead and press OK once you've selected QTeam. And it should then populate from there. And now we are on the main canvas and we are ready to begin transforming our data. Just to go through the main canvas, here is going to be our main editing canvas, which is used to create data flows by combining various transforms. If you navigate to the left-hand side, we have our data entity browser. And data entities can be used as a source or a target for the data flow, and you can add more connections by clicking on the plus icon. We don't need to currently, and you can also add filter entities by name or tag if the list is big. Navigating up here, we have our transformations, and they're going to be grouped under various categories, including data transform, preparation, machine learning, text, and Oracle Spatial. So you can click on the different groups to see what kind of transforms are available. The basic transforms are going to be under transform or data transform and data preparation. And these transforms are going to be dragged onto the main canvas to build the data flow. Here we have our properties. So by clicking on any source or target entity on a transform step, you can view and edit the various properties. We have the ability to save, execute, and validate up top. And then when you click on any empty part of the main canvas, it'll give you the status, the current execution status of the data flow. That's just a brief walkthrough of everything that we see here on data transforms. And now we can actually begin to transform our data. So the first thing that we're going to do is drag movie sales CA onto the main canvas. For there, we're going to select the data transform and we're going to take aggregate and move that onto the canvas as well. Then we're going to go to data preparation and we're going to take quantile binning. Now that we have all of three of these, let's connect them. So movie sales CA is going to have an arrow going into aggregate, and aggregate will have an arrow going into quintile or quintile binning. So now what we're going to do is edit the properties of the aggregate transform. And to do that, we can click on aggregate and you'll see that the properties pane over here has changed. And if we click on the arrow to maximize, we can see even more settings, including our attributes and our column mapping. And what we're going to do is actually go to attributes here and we'll select all and we're going to remove everything except two values here. And those two values are going to be customer ID and total sales. Everything else can get trashed. Now what we're going to do is change total sales to cust sales. And from there, we'll go on to column mapping. From here, we can actually navigate to the right and select auto map, and we'll auto map it by name. And you'll see that movie sales CA cust ID has been mapped. However, this is still total sales and not cust sales. So to do that, we'll actually need to do something a little bit different. We'll actually click on this edit button here. And if we drop down this menu and we click on total sales, we're actually going to change this to sum movie sales CA dot total sales. And from there, we'll press OK. Movie sales, total sales, cust ID, and we should be all good. So now I'll click the arrow once more and we'll go to quantile binning. We'll open the properties pane here. So here we'll come down to attributes. And we'll go to output one and we'll actually change the name return to cust value. Awesome. Then we're going to click on the column mapping. And for the number of buckets under expression, we're going to enter 5. It means that aggregate customer sales will be used to divide customers into 5 buckets. This will be used to indicate the value of customers. And once we have that done, we can close the property pane and we can get back to the main canvas. And next, we're going to go back under the data transform section and we're going to get a join. We'll drag that onto the main canvas. And we will then put the arrow from quantile binning into this join. And from there, we'll also drag customer CA onto the canvas, just right under movie sales CA. And we'll drag the arrow from customer CA to the join as well. And if we check the join properties, we should get aggregate customer ID equals customer CA dot customer ID. That is perfect. And just note that it is good practice to save every so often, just to make sure that we're keeping our changes up to date. So now what we're going to do is bring in the age group table onto the canvas. And we'll also add the lookup um, data flow onto the canvas as well, our data transform. So we'll put lookup here. So we'll join this here, and then age group will be linked to lookup. And if we check the lookup condition, there isn't one currently. However, we can copy and paste it from the lab instructions. So customer CA.age between age group dot min age and age group max age. Awesome. Our next step is going to bring in another movie sales CA from the data entities over here. So I'll put this here. And then we'll also bring another join out. So after lookup, I'll put the arrow to the join, and for movie sales CA1, note that there's a 1 because we already have movie sales CA over here. We're going to put this into this join here. And just to check the join condition, it should be movie sales CA1 dot genre underscore ID. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. It should be aggregate dot customer ID equals movie sales customer ID 1. So what we're going to do is copy and paste. And your join condition here should look something like this. So aggregate customer ID equals movie sales CA1 dot customer ID. And once you have that, all good. Our next step is going to be dropping the genre table onto the canvas. And then we'll drop another join as well. So join 1 will go into join 2. Genre will also go into join 2. And if we look at the join condition here, we should see movie sales CA1 dot genre ID equals genre dot genre ID. And again, let's go ahead and save. And we now have our final step. So we've pretty much completed the data flow, and it may look complex, but one can visualize the step-by-step transformations. Our final step here is going to be to write it to the target, which is the customer sales analysis table. So I'll drag this table out here. And to write to the customer analysis or sales analysis table, we're actually going to put the join to, put an arrow out coming to this table. So all information will be stored here. And do note that it is possible to create a brand new target table in the data flow as well. However, for simplicity, well, we're just going to be using the pre-created table definition in this workshop. And then all we need to do now is just make sure that the load properties are correct. So we'll click on the target table in the canvas and then expand its properties. So after we expand its properties, we can come down to column mapping, and let's just make sure that everything looks correct. So min age equals age group dot min age, genre dot genre, age group dot age group, customer CA gender. So far, everything is looking good. So our final step is now to click on options. We're going to make that drop and create target table is actually true. And this just makes sure that we have the correct definition. And then we can also choose to load data into an existing table with or without truncating. And data can also be loaded incrementally. And these are going to be some of the advanced modes that Data Transforms offers. However, for now, we'll simply drop and create the table in every execution. So from there, we can go ahead and collapse the property panel. Back to the main canvas, we can save it. And then we can validate it by clicking on the validate check mark button. It was validated successfully and it showed no errors. So we should be good to go ahead and start. And to start, of course, we'll click on the green triangle in the circle. It'll ask us if we want to start the data flow. We do indeed. So we can click start. And we see that the job has been created. And if we look at the bottom right, we can see our current status is running. We did get an error, so let's view it. And with that, I'm going to come back in just a moment. All right, so after going back in and checking some configurations, we have finally gotten our status to confirm that everything is validated and has run correctly. And as we look at the bottom right-hand corner under current status, we can see the green check mark saying that we're done. If you see a red X, at this point, you might need to go undergo some debugging. A couple ways that you can debug here. The first of which is going to be our code simulation. If you click on this button right next to validate, you do have the ability to view the simulated code. And if you are technical, you can come in here and view where your error might be. Now, the second way in which you can debug is actually click on this execution job. Now, from here, you should be able to view the status at every specific step. So if I click on this drop down here, it'll show us all of the steps that we have in this physical step. So drop and enable create target table, and then insert new rows. These are all going to be green check marks here. If you're debugging, you might see a red X, and you will have the ability to kind of drill down and see exactly what's wrong. But for now, that does conclude Lab 7 of transforming and preparing data, and we will be moving on to Lab 8 of analyzing data. And with that, we'll be moving on to Task 1 of creating a dimensional model for data analysis. So we have movie sales, movie genre, and age group data. And we also have customer value information. We're going to analyze this data set. So we'll go through a few examples, such as movie genre preference based on age groups and marital status, and whether these preferences are different across high value and low value customers. To do so, we'll need to navigate back to the Data Studio page and launch the data analysis tool. So what I'm going to have to do is actually navigate back to our autonomous database, and then I'll go to database actions. Currently, I am logged in as admin. However, I'd like to be logged in as Qteam, so I'm going to sign out, and I'll sign in as Qteam. And as you can see, we are now signed in with Qteam. So from here, we'll navigate to Data Studio, and then from there, the data analysis tool. So it's giving us a brief tour. In our top upper left-hand corner, we have the ability to select our schema and select preferred schema from a list of schemas available in the dropdown. We also have a search bar right next to it that allows us to search for analysis, analytic views, or tables. Under consumer group, we do have the ability to switch consumer groups. So we can choose the consumer group to run your SQL or PL SQL code with the selector. On step 4, we have the ability to create analysis and analytic views. And if we ever need this tour again, we have the ability to leverage it once more by clicking on the binoculars. Right below schema, search bar, consumer group, and create, we do have our entity type. So here we are able to select an entity type to filter the list of entities displayed. By default, all entities are going to be listed. And we also have our analyses. So you can click on our analysis to check the detailed reports for analyzing. And you can edit, delete, view, or rename an analysis using the menu available on each analysis. We also have our analytic views, and this list is going to display the existing analytic views that we have. We have tables, and this list displays the existing tables that we have. And that's going to be our brief tour of the data analysis tool. So when you access the data analysis tool for the first time, you are going to be presented with those set of tool tips to explain how to use the various features of the tool. And you can skip if you'd like to. And again, you have the ability to relaunch that tour by clicking on the binoculars here in the top right. In this lab, however, we are going to create an analytic view of the movie sales data so we can start to analyze it and understand how our customers' purchasing patterns work. So analytic views organize data using a dimensional model, allowing you to easily add aggregations and calculations to data sets and present data in views that can be queried with relatively simple SQL. So what we'll do now is make sure that our schema Q team is selected. And from there, we'll go to create and create analytic view. Once our general page populates, we'll navigate down to the fact table, and our source will be our customer sales analysis. And from there, we should see our identifiers populate as well. Everything here should be customer sales analysis analytic view. Once done, we can now click on data sources on the left side to verify that our customer sales analysis is the data source. Once done, we can go to the left-hand side to data sources to verify that customer sales analysis is indeed our data source. And once we've done that, we can go back to the left-hand side to hierarchies. And here we'll add the attributes that we want in our analysis. Those of which are going to be age group, customer value, device, marital status, genre, and pet. So age group, customer value, device, marital status, genre, and for pet, we'll have to utilize more columns. Select source column and scroll down to pet. So once you verify that you have these 6 attributes in our hierarchy, we can then move on to measures, or we'll add our measure, click more columns, and our measure here will be total sales. And with that, we're good to go ahead and create our analytic view. So we'll click create and confirm with OK. Do note that these are all single level hierarchies, and adding multiple level hierarchies is going to be an advanced topic that won't be covered. However, we will see that even with single level hierarchies, we can do many interesting analysis. So now the fun part starts. All this time we were preparing the data and creating a dimensional model in the form of an analytic view. And now we'll start creating reports and charts and start finding hidden patterns within our data. So next, let's learn how to navigate the analysis tool. We'll select our AAV. So now we can start doing our first analysis. What we'll do is expand by clicking the expand button in the top right. And from there, we'll click bar chart, as this makes it easier to visualize the data. So what we're doing here is we want to show the sales amount by age group. So what we can do is select chart mode, but by clicking on the top right chart icon, by default, the x-axis is going to be populated with the first hierarchy. If it is not the age group, then clear all hierarchies from the x-axis and drag age group to the x-axis and total sales to the y-axis. So what we'll do is leave it as so. We have age group in the x and total sales in the y. You do need to expand the hierarchy tree to reveal the level, and only the level can be dragged to the analysis area. So whenever you're dealing with these hierarchies over here, you will need to expand the level and then drag the value under the expansion. And this chart is currently showing the total sales across age groups. So we can see with our boomers, Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, and silent generations, the sales. Next, we can analyze sales by marital status. So again, we can clear and then drag marital status into our x-axis. And now we have a separation between those that are married and those that are single and their corresponding sales. And now we can mix two hierarchies together. So what we can do is drag age group above marital status in the x-axis, and we will need to make sure that age group is on top of marital status. And we notice that although singles watch overall more movies, married people watch more than singles in the millennial age group. So what we'll do is go back to age group and drag it on top. So if we come to the millennial age group, we see that those that are married definitely watch the most movies, and those that are single are up there as well. This was not something that was so obvious before. Now, say we're curious to know which genre sells the most. What we can do is clear the x-axis and drag genre to it. And lo and behold, we have drama that is the highest selling genre, followed by action. So we had earlier ranked our customers in high and low value quintiles. It will be interesting to find out whether there is a movie genre preference for high value customers. So next, we can drag customer value to the x-axis. Let's make sure that customer value is on top of genre. So this chart is very wide and you can't really see to the right. And to fit the entire width of the screen or the chart, you can drag the right edge to the lower window towards the right till all the customer values are going to be visible on the page. And if you don't see the lower window, then zoom out on the browser with Control minus. So what I can do is actually just utilize the scrolling dial on my mouse if that works for you as well. Otherwise, you do have the ability to drag the chart to fit the view as well. So let's look at this chart. We can see that drama is very popular with a high value, customer value equaling about 5 customers, whereas action is more popular with low value customers. Of course, most of the bars are taller for high value customers because overall they do spend more. So we are talking about relative genre preference within the same customer value group. Go ahead and see if you can find any other interesting patterns. What movie genres are popular in different age groups, um, and what movie genres are popular across those with different pets, or if they have pets or not, and so on. We can spend lots of time in the analysis tool visualizing the data with different combinations of attributes. And do note that so far we are looking only at the charts, but this data can be displayed in tabular format and a pivot table as well. So you do have the ability to switch the display mode and see how that works as well. And advanced users can access the data in this analytic view from Excel or Google Sheets. So you can add more than one report and rearrange them on the canvas by leveraging the Add Report button as well. For our workshop, we will only have one report. However, you should have the ability to add a report. And after you've completed the report, you can save it by clicking on the Save button in the top right corner. So click the arrow, the left arrow in the top left corner to go back to the data analysis page. For now, we can save our changes. So as we can see, our analysis has been saved under the name analysis. And if we go to the analysis tab at the top, we can see new analysis has been saved. So that does complete lab 8 of analyzing data, and we will now be moving on to lab 9 of exploring data insights. Data insights process runs in the background, and it finds interesting patterns in the data. And this is a hands-off approach to finding insights that are lurking out of sight in the data. So in this next lab, we're going to investigate a few sample insights produced by the tool. We'll learn how to interpret, and we'll cross-check it with manual analysis as well. And note that the insight process can run for some time depending on the complexity of the data set and available compute resources. Our data set is small enough that it will complete in a reasonable amount of time, but you might see that the insight list is being refreshed while it is executing. So what we'll do next is come down to the left and click on Insights. Our schema is QTeam. We'll select our newly created analytic view, and our column here will be total sales. And let's begin our search. So note that these insights are stored in the database and can be accessed at any time for review. And you can also regenerate the analysis if the data is in the underlying AV, or if the data in the underlying analytic view or table has changed. And the order of insights may vary if the data is different or the insight is still running. Therefore, refer to the labels on each tile to identify it. So as you can see, a list of various insights will appear on the page. And the Data Insights tool has gone through the data and discovered many interesting behavioral patterns based on the movie sales data. Let's give it some time for the search to continue. So now that our search is completed, for our workshop, we will focus on 3 insights labeled in the screenshot in the lab details. These are going to be purchasing pattern of singles across genre, interest and adventure genre across the age group, and purchasing behavior of dog owners across age groups. With that, what we'll do next is click on any of the tiles, mark single at the top, that's an S, and at the bottom, it should be genre. So S and genre. From here, we can see that total sales is our measure driving the insight and showcases blue bars across for marital status equals single across genre. This is the actual value. Each bar has a green horizontal line depicting the average without the marital status equals single filter. This is called the expected value, and it can differ from the blue level if the data is skewed for the filter on the top, meaning single people. A few bars are also surrounded by black borders, and these are going to be highlighted exceptions. Another way to read this is singles are purchasing adventure and comedy, so adventure and comedy, more than average and are not very interested in drama. That's an interesting insight. Let's go back. Now we'll click on a tiled mark adventure at the top with age group at the bottom. So adventure and age group. This one shows that Gen Z is above average, interested in adventure genre. This might be an obvious insight, but the data is also confirming it. Let's go back. Now, just for fun, let's look at the pet ownership and movie purchase relationship. So what we'll do next is click on the tile marked dog on the top with customer value. So dog and customer value. It shows that the highest value, 5, dog owners are purchasing far more movies than average compared to non-dog owners. It may just be a correlation, but perhaps you could use this data to offer dog grooming products to high-value customers. It's interesting, isn't it? The Data Insights tool has discovered all of these hidden patterns just by crawling through our data. And it's quite an insight that we found. So let's click on back once more. There are many other insights in this list, and we can go back to the list and look at a few others if we'd like to. See if you find any other interesting insights. The Data Insight tool has discovered all of these hidden patterns, again, just by crawling through our data. With that, we can go ahead and move on to task 2, which is peeling the layers of data insights. And this section is an attempt to explain the insights by manually running queries and correlating with them, or correlating them with what we can see in insights. So let's go back and look at the first insight once more. If we click on the tile mark S with genre at the bottom, we'll notice that this was the movie genre preference of singles, and it shows singles are purchasing adventure and comedy more than the average and purchasing less genre than the average. If we go back to our data analysis tool, we'll also be able to confirm this insight. So what we'll do next is go back to analysis, and we'll click on our previously created new analysis. So in this new report, we're going to analyze sales by genre for married and singles alternately. So what we'll do is drag genre to the x-axis and it should already be there. So we'll just clear out the age group. And from there, we'll select the M on the right-hand side for married people. We can either expand it this way or with the expansion button at the top. And as we can confirm, married people are indeed watching way more drama and uh, a lot less adventure and comedy. So now let's compare it for singles. We can deselect married people and come back to marital status equals single. And again, this is what you get. Notice high purchases in the adventure and comedy genres by singles and not much drama compared to married people. And isn't that what Data Insights told us? It discovered that without any input from us. So while doing manual analysis in the data analysis tool, we must actively look at and compare the data for certain hierarchies. There are many combinations, but people use their experience to guide their analysis steps. In comparison, data insights is a hands-off approach, and it finds patterns without understanding what their hierarchies means or what hierarchies means. And we think that both are complementary to each other and provide valuable tools to use in a day in the life of a data analyst. And that does conclude Lab 9 of exploring data insights. With that, we can move on to Lab 10, which is simply wrap up. So we started this workshop with a Monday morning team meeting. John, the VP of marketing, wanted to send discount offers to high value customers. He also had questions about individual preferences of movie genre based on age groups, marital status, customer value, and etc. So let's go through the action items once more. In step one, we found relevant data. So we learned how to use the catalog tool to look for desired tables. And there are many ways to search, preview the data, and do a quick profile check. For step two, we loaded our data. If you'll remember, age group data was originally missing from the database. There are many ways to import data from various sources into an autonomous database, and we imported it today from a local file. In step three, we transformed and prepared our data. We had all the tables that we needed. We created customer quintiles based on total sales by the customer and loaded them into a new table. And for analysis, we added various customer attributes to this table. The transforms tool made this task easy with a drag and drop user interface. And lastly, in step four, we analyzed our data. We created an analytic view, which is a dimensional model, and learned how to analyze the data across various dimension hierarchies. And we also found interesting results unearthed by the insights process. Various tools in Data Studio worked seamlessly with each other, helping us complete all the action items successfully. Now we are ready for our next Monday meeting. With that, we can move on to task 2, which is simply cleaning our demo data. Refer to the SQL script. You can copy and paste it. And from there, we can access our navigation menu, development in SQL, and we'll copy and paste that script here, run it. All the tables are dropped, and you shouldn't see any other errors. And with that, you have now cleaned the tables and analytic views created in this workshop. And that does conclude our workshop today. Thank you for attending and watching. Have a good one.